So this is going to be a deviation from what I normally do, which is whatever, because everything's going to shit. And so here's the deal. You're out on a public street and you see police doing something. You take out your phone and you're standing 15, 20 feet away from them. You start recording what they're doing. Okay? Cop walks up to you and tells you to stop recording and to delete what you've recorded. Here's what you do. You say, no. You say, no. And he says, delete that right now. And you say, produce a signed warrant or get out of my face. I'm going to stand here and film. So, as Americans, there's a First Amendment, and there's a Fourth Amendment. The First Amendment guarantees your right to free speech. Now, there is precedent that you recording the police is the same as the press recording the police. They are identical. So in that moment, you are the press. You have free speech. Amendment 4 is your right to protection from unlawful seizure and search. The cop cannot take your phone. That is seizure. The cop cannot search your phone. That is search. You are under no obligation to delete anything. You're under no obligation to stop filming. And this is a recent precedent. So be respectful. Say no. Continue filming. And if that cop lays a fucking whisker on you, you just hit a jackpot. That cop touches you, you just hit a jackpot. Listen to what I'm saying. If that cop touches you, I didn't say hits. I didn't say that. I said if that cop touches you, you just won a jackpot. You should be praying silently to whatever God you believe in that that cop places you under arrest. You should be praying that happens because you just hit a jackpot paid for by the taxpayer. I'm fed up with our rights being trampled. So this is a 101, just basic lesson. It's just basic constitutional law. Once upon a time, I was going to be an attorney. So what precipitated this video is there's a video recently of some girl is puking. It's like a downtown. A girl's on the sidewalk. She's puking. There's like a little crowd gathered around her of like, somebody get her water. Somebody needs to roll her over. Oh my God, Sharon, or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And a cop comes up, a beat cop who's on the downtown nightlife beat, which is, already tells you what kind of a police officer this is. They all suck. They're all the worst. But particularly these guys. And so a girl who is standing at a distance of at least 10 feet, she is not obstructing an investigation. She's not obstructing police activity. She's not physically obstructing anything. She is standing at least 10 feet away, and her phone is out. And the cop turns to her. Somebody says, hey, take a picture. The cop turns to her. Now, if you don't know who police officers are, these are people who peaked in middle school, and they are mentally retarded. They're dumb. Statistically, they're dumb. So this is a fucking retard. You're talking to a retarded middle schooler. Just think of that. You're talking to a fucking retarded middle schooler. The cop comes up to her and starts saying, you need to delete that. That's so disrespectful that you did that, blah, blah, blah. The cop has every right to say that. They have a First Amendment right. The cop has a First Amendment right to be an asshole. He has a First Amendment right to tell you to delete that photo, that to stop recording, that you should be ashamed of. They can tell you anything they want. You have the same rights. So you can tell that cop they look ugly today. There's not a goddamn fucking thing they can do. Truly. You can do this. That's free speech. You can do this. You can say, okay, ugly, produce a warrant. Produce a warrant. They won't be able to. You know why? Because they don't have one. You know why? Because they're fucking incompetent. They don't understand the law. They don't have to understand the law. It's not a requirement to be a police officer. They don't have to protect. They're under no obligation to protect. They're under no obligation to understand the law. That's for the courts. That's for people with actual brains. So, but be respectful. Don't do, I mean, you can, I'm telling you can do that. I personally would not. I personally stand there. I don't move. Whether I'm recording something or not is nobody's business. You are outside in public. There is zero expectation of privacy. It does not exist. When you are in your home, you have an expectation of privacy. So somebody can't use a zoom lens to look into a window and see a woman changing. That is against the law because you have an expectation of privacy in your home. When you are downtown puking on a fucking sidewalk, you do not have an expectation of privacy. You are in public. You are allowed to be in public. I'm allowed to be in public because I am not currently incarcerated. Anybody who's not currently incarcerated has the right to be in public by way of the fact that they're in public. They just are that thing. So, don't talk to the police if you're arrested. So, if you're arrested, you just hit the jackpot. Don't say that. In fact, don't say anything except for this. The moment you're arrested, if a cop asks you a question, you say, I am invoking my right to remain silent. That's it. And when you get down to the station, you say, I need an attorney. That's it. That's it. You're going to be released, and then you're going to get an attorney, because attorneys are going to be beating down your fucking door for that payday. It's always a nice payday. Civil rights lawsuits are nice. So yeah. No, I'm not going to hand you my phone. I'm not going to stop recording. I'm not doing any of that. Produce a warrant based on probable cause that a crime has been committed. Because right now, I'm standing in public. I'm allowed to stand in public. I'm holding my phone, my property. And I am not, you can't legally separate me from my property. That is a crime. If a cop separates you from your property unlawfully, that is a crime. Furthermore, legal precedent that police officers, law enforcement officers, are not entitled to qualified immunity for violations of the First and Fourth Amendment. I repeat, legal precedent. Law enforcement officers are not entitled to qualified immunity for violations of the First and Fourth Amendments. You did it. You hit the jackpot. Now all you have to do is be like Fonzie. You know what Fonzie is? Fonzie is cool. Just be cool. Be like Travolta in the 70s. Just be cool. That's it. That's all you have to do, man. Be cool. So, there's my lesson for tonight.